Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
A warm welcome to the north of Italy for round 8 of the Hype Energy Apex Online Racing PS4 F1 season. And well, I tell you what, this is one of those races I always look forward to every season. The fastest average speed of any track on the calendar. The temple speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in Italy. And it's the Italian Grand Prix we are going to bring to you on the official Apex Online Racing YouTube channel. So, we had a bit of a delay for the lobby starting, so apologies for that, but a warm welcome to those of you who have joined the chat. So let's have a quick look then at this particular track here at Monza. Well, you know, in terms of average speed, it is the highest there. You know, the F1 lap record, of course, in terms of average speed set here in 2018. We have 11 turns on this 3.5 kilometer circuit, and it is 2 DRS zones and 11 corners. Essentially, this track hasn't changed very much since the 1970s. And just getting a weird glitch there for a second, so let me just sort that. Yep, sorry, my monitor just went black for a second there. Not good. Right then, I'm back. Apologies for that briefer. So, a brief look at the championship standings then. We are into the business end of this season. This is the final European race of the season. After this week, we will be leaving Europe for 2 more rounds in Japan and Brazil. So then, Dominic Hoffman, he's been the star man this season, aka TRL Schnitzel, and he has a 33-point advantage over VGIA Lucas going into this round. Now, the championship can potentially be decided here today with only 3 rounds of the season to go in this particular Season 17 campaign. So, just to give you the sort of maths behind should the title be decided today, in terms of Hoffman winning the championship, he has to finish in the top 2. To win the championship today. So if he does not finish in the top 2, he cannot win the championship today. So if he wins the race, Lucas must finish at least 5th because of his inferior win record to keep the championship going to the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. And if he finishes 2nd, Lucas only has to finish in the points to take the championship to the final 2 races. Now, in terms of Jarno Okma, he is an outside bet for the championship now, 39 points behind at this stage. He will have to try and outscore his teammate if he can. If he gets outscored by 11 points today by his Renault teammate, he will be eliminated from the title battle. Now, one championship which may likely be decided tonight, given the dominance that the 2 Renault drivers have put forward this season, is the Constructors Championship. 93 points gap they have, despite the brilliant efforts of Williams last week at the Belgian Grand Prix to cut the gap down with that magnificent performance in qualifying and the race for that 1-2 finish, which Roy leading home the reigning champion Michael, of course. Now, in effect, what will have to happen for that point swing in the final 3 races is for Williams to have a multitude of 1-2 finishes and Renault to only score less than 36 points in the final 3 races. And given the amount of points they've hauled throughout this season, that seems very unlikely. So we could be hearing "We Are the Champions" inside that Renault garage before the end of this 27-lap race here at Monza. But of course, before we can get to that, we have a qualifying session to get on with. And here we are then at Monza, bright sunshine. The Tifosi ever expectant, even if their Ferrari drivers haven't really delivered much of the goods so far this season. We have 14 drivers out there here today, early pace being set by Save Frosty. And in terms of your available tyre compounds, we have the super soft, medium and soft compounds. Now, as it was at Belgium, the super soft, a good tyre to use in qualifying and the race, so I expect the fastest times to all be set on those super soft red tyres. And we do, of course, have the intermediate and wet tyres available should we get a wet race, but it looks unlikely to be any rain here in Italy, at least for the qualifying session. So 1:18.644. Now, you may be wondering, in terms of the pole time, well, we're going to be looking at least low 18s, I would say, and for some of those aliens at the front of the grid, the likes of Schnitzel, Jarno and Lucas, they could well go into the 1:17s, but we will find out shortly. Now, my voice is slightly croaky because I went to a wedding yesterday for two of my very dear friends, so I do apologise for that in advance, but I will do my best to cover all the action with the same enthusiasm I always do. So we're going to switch up to some of the cars. Let's see who's out on track at the moment, as Paris has already finished his sort of first flying time. We'll get the telemetry on, of course. It's just a flying lap from Daridos for Red Bull as he crosses the line and sets a 1:19.009. So he's done several laps on that set of tyres. So that's a 1:19.009, which is not going to be threatening the top of the grid, you would think. And at the moment, Lucas in the pits, and Jarno as well. Schnitzel has already done his banker, just out there at the moment, just going through, well, taking a unusual line, shall we say, through the second chicane. I mean, in effect, this track is a bunch of straights just split up by some chicanes. Those chicanes, although they've changed slightly over the years, they were installed in the 1970s. Before that, you had the terrifying banked corners of the original Monza track. And there is a movie from the 1960s which used real Formula 1 cars. And so if you get a chance, go on YouTube and check that out, because they use real footage, no CGI, and it just gives you a sense of the terrifying speed on those bank turns. It's no wonder so many drivers unfortunately lost their lives on those bank turns before the track kind of became what it is today. So Schnitzel probably in quite relaxed mood given the advantage he has, but knows, any slip up here, which is very easy to do given the low downforce setups that the drivers will be deploying here at Monza, could well put the title fight back into the hands of Lucas and his teammates. So he will not be taking anything for granted, but it's been a remarkable turnaround considering the season before, as we have mentioned on previous occasions, he sort of, had some great performances early on and then just sort of dropped away dramatically. So much so that he'd lost confidence and just left the league, and then has returned really with a vengeance, and these Renaults in particular have been a great atmosphere for him to put on what has been a fabulous title challenge so far. Now Lucas finally out on track, and he has a set of super softs on, so I think we will do a lap of the track with him when he begins. So I'm just going to have a look at Hugh Golf, see what he's up to. Hugh Golf is on a flying lap at the moment, so he just goes through the Variante Ascari, the third of the three chicanes here, perhaps the most important corner on the track, because it really sets you up for sector 3. And, if you get a poor exit there, you're going to be under pressure during the race from the car behind. So getting an exit there really sets you up for the rest of sector 1. The following lap. So let's go on board then with VGIA Lucas as he attempts to give Schnitzel something to think about. A long straight here, over 1,500 meters to the Rettifilio, the opening corner, where so many of those adoring and expectant tifosi will be watching during this race. And out of the first corner, it looks pretty smooth on the throttle, going up to maximum speed through the Curva Grande and heading towards the Variante Roggio, which I hear is a really fantastic place to watch Formula 1 cars. Trying not to take too much curb, and that was pretty much slightly wide onto the gravel slightly. That would have cost him maybe a tenth, but it's not cost him too much momentum, so he should be okay. Then the two Lesmos, second one in particular, very important to get a tidy exit out of that, because if you get a poor exit, it really compromises your speed through the second DRS zone. And then here we go then, the Variante Ascari almost blind, and it would be for Lucas because he uses cockpit view, so it's a very difficult corner to approach that, and that looked pretty smooth. Ran slightly wide though out of the Ascari, but that is a line that some drivers will take, and there shouldn't be a risk of a track extension exclusion for that one. And then through the legendary Parabolica, which is just a sight to behold watching Formula 1 cars flying through there up to the line. And what's this going to be for his banker run? It is going to be a 1:18.496. So the fastest time of the session so far, with just over 8.5 minutes of this particular qualifying session to go, with Michael in second, Schnitzel in third, Williams in Roy in fourth, and Stay Frosty in fifth, with Jarno still in the pits and hasn't come out to set any time yet. He's currently got the mediums fitted in the pit at the moment. And Casper hasn't come out either, and Q-Golf, we did see him potentially starting a lap, but didn't actually do it in the end. So obviously just having a look at the track, and Michael is now on his second run, so keep an eye on that. And look at this, once again, just as we saw in Belgium last week, as Flying Finn puts it on there, 1:18.446, slightly ahead of Lucas. And once again, the Williams driver is employing a toe and into the Roggio. Can Michael get it slowed down? Yes, he does. That looked pretty smooth. And unlike Lucas, didn't put a wheel into the gravel trap. So Michael, well, he knows that his reign as the champion is over. So he will enjoy the final 3 races of his reign before handing his championship to whoever of the 3 drivers ahead of him in the championship standings takes it. And at this moment in time, it looks likely to be either Lucas or Schnitzel in terms of the point situation. But Michael, well, he'll be looking. I think his aim in the final 3 races will be at least to end the F1 2018 era on a high with a victory at one of the final 3 races. Now, just taking a look back at the championship last season, I do believe Michael won the Italian Grand Prix, and yes, indeed he did. So he has certainly got experience of winning at this particular track on this particular game. So that was mighty close to Flying Finn's time. So the top 3 only separated by 0.5 of a second, and the top 5 covered by less than 0.4 of a second. This is yet another extremely close qualifying session, and now Michael giving the toe to his teammate Roy. So don't be surprised if you see Roy cutting that 0.3 disadvantage he has at the moment all the way down, and he does the same thing as Lucas, takes a bit too much speed out of the Roggio as he goes into Lesmos. And that will cost him again slightly wide, but you know, in terms of the setup, there is no track on the calendar, not just in AOR, but in terms of the F1 calendar, where these cars will be set up with less downforce. Because if you set a car up here without the ultra low downforce, you will be an absolute sitting duck on these fast sections. 76% of the lap here at Monza is taken at full throttle. So low downforce, an absolute must here to get the very best aerodynamic performance on these long, flat out sections you get at this track, which first saw racing in 1922 in its original form, so nearly a century of racing at Monza, and I think Roy must have invalidated somewhere because he has pulled back into the pits. So let's focus our attention. Is there anyone else out there? Jarno's actually out there now, actually on the medium tyres, but this is some sort of bank or a strategic decision. In terms of the strategy for this particular race, what was expected is something similar to last season, where it was the super softs to the softs. We may see a little bit of use of the medium tyres from some drivers, but the only issue with the mediums are, especially when you put a brand new set on after having the super softs, is that they do take, especially the front tyres, a while to warm up. Jarno crosses the line, it's a 1:21.027, which a few games ago would have been a really good lap, but such is the speed of these aerodynamic monsters. The thing that strikes me about these modern F1 cars is that when I went to the Barcelona race, you see the size of the old cars, and yet these modern cars are at least twice the size and heavier, and yet they're flying around the track so much quicker because the aerodynamics and the engine power are just absolutely incredible in this V6 era. So from a technological standpoint, although it may at times make the racing not as good as some of the previous years we've had, you have to marvel at the technology behind the F1 cars these days. In terms of that, maybe not the racing itself, but in terms of technology, it is still the pinnacle of open cockpit racing, no doubt about that. Now Casper is out there on the soft tyre compounds. Most of the drivers in the pits at the moment. Lucas appears to be out there again, so may have a look at him in a moment. This is Casper on the softs though. What's this going to be? And it's only good enough for P11 on the softs. That just shows you the performance advantage of the super softs quite a bit higher than the soft compound, only good enough for P11. But we saw Casper from outside the top 10 last week at Belgium, putting in perhaps his best drive of the season, finishing 5th. You know, nearly threatened the podium right at the end with his alternate strategy. So maybe that's the kind of approach he'll be looking for here once again. But let's have a look at Lucas. No, Lucas back in the pits. Obviously wasn't happy with something, so he's going to quickly come in, put another set of tyres on. Plenty of those available during this 18-minute session. And then he'll be back for his final run going. And, whoa, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. That was a bizarre intervention. So Schnitzel then on his outlap. Michael is as well. Flying Finn. Now let's have a look at Flying Finn. Flying the flag, excuse the pun, for Ferrari. Ferrari haven't had much to shout about this season from their drivers, but if there's one driver who we have seen in the past can put on great performances, it is Flying Finn. He got a podium at Germany. He's only raced twice this season. It was a podium at Germany and a retirement last week at Belgium, and he puts it on the front of the with a 118.276. So he extended his advantage. He was in provisional pole early on in the session, of course. But that will likely be his last run of the session. He will not have time to get back. So 118.276 will be the benchmark for the other drivers to beat. Lucas still in the pits. Michael trying to get some heat into his tyres as he goes through the Ascari. Now I wonder if Williams will be once again employing these slipstream tactics. Roy is actually still in the garage, so they may not be able to do that. They may not be able to employ this tactic this time. We're about to find out because Michael is about to start his final run. This is yellows in sector 2. Someone's had an off somewhere. Just want to see where Schnitzel is for the time being. Yep, Schnitzel flying through to the end of sector 2. Now I hear that on the next F1 game they're actually going to have the sector times properly represented in the spectator mode, which will make qualifying so much easier to track. We have quite a few familiar faces in the chat, so if you've just joined us, we're right at the end of this qualifying session. So let's see what Schnitzel can do. 118.276 to beat. The yellow and black Bumblebee Renault heading for the line, and what's it going to be from the championship leader? It is only good enough for P2, so and that is a loud roar from the Tifosi as their Ferrari driver not denied by the championship leader, but there's still plenty of fast drivers coming out, and Michael is one of them, and Jarno is actually coming out, and very interestingly is on the soft tyres. Well, that is a bold call from the other Renault driver, looking to try and do something different, and maybe he's got no choice but to do that given his 39-point deficit in the championship standings at the moment. So Schnitzel is not going to take pole position today. Now what about Michael? Michael heading through the Parabolica for the final time in this session. He goes for the line, trying to go as close to the wall as he dares, and what's it going to be? It is pole! 118.176. And well, the Ferrari Tifosi, their heads sigh just a little bit as Lucas goes on his flying run. Just going to quickly check on Schnitzel. Schnitzel's got maximum attack, so looks like he is going for another run on low fuel, but that's going to add more wear to his tyres. No, he's backed off now. Lucas still going. Now, who else is out there? What about Roy? Is Roy out there? Roy is just in the end of sector 1. Now, what about Jarno? Jarno is just going through the Curva Grande. So there's a few drivers set ready to add. As the checker flag comes out, Michael is done for the session. Schnitzel is also done. So it's all going to be about the likes of Lucas and Roy. So anyone else has... Nevertheless actually puts it to P9, so a decent qualifying session for the Red Bull driver. Both Red Bulls in action, unlike last week. Alex back on the grid this week. Schnitzel retires. So now, can Lucas, can he get ahead of Schnitzel at least? It's going to be so important for his championship bids, and he does. He does get ahead of him, just over a tenth away. Now what about Roy? Where is Roy? Roy is perhaps the only other driver realistically who can take pole position away. Roy heads to the line. What's it going to be for Williams? And it's only P5 for Roy, so not another 1-2 lockout like last week. Let's go on board with Jarno. Jarno heading around Parabolica. Where's this going to be? This could be a big moment. He's on the alternate strategy. Almost goes into the pit lane, and it's only P12 for Jarno. Ah, that has not worked out at all for him. Well, well, the glum faces at Renault, that strategy call has not worked out at all. So he will be starting outside the top 10. So he's got some work to do, but luckily this is a track where overtaking with the slipstream, the DRS and the battery power can be possible. But given that most of the drivers will be running extremely low downforce setups, overtaking isn't as easy here as you would expect. So the big story is Michael, the reigning champion, is on pole position, just ahead of Flying Finn. So a really good effort from the Ferrari side. Lucas in third and Schnitzel in fourth. The two championship contenders, at least the top two in the championship, alongside each other on row 2. And that's going to be a very intriguing start, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? And now we'll just have a quick look at the qualifying results just to make sure there wasn't any grid penalties dished out by race control. So here we are then. Qualifying result. Michael takes pole position by exactly a tenth of a second from Flying Finn. Lucas in third with Schnitzel fourth. And then Williams, Jim Roy in fifth. Hugh Golf in sixth. With a very good fine qualifying performance. Paris in Stay Frosty in eighth. Davidos in ninth. Kieski in 10th. And then outside the top 10 we have Alex and then Jarno Opmar on row 6, and then making up the back of the grid are the two Haas cars of Casper and Lee Finley, two drivers who have been really good at scoring points recently, and to get points they're going to have to do some once again from outside the top 10 on the alternate strategy, especially in Casper's case. So the tempo of speed awaits, and once again it is calm conditions out there for this particular race, so probably no concerns about different tyre compounds. So in terms of the strategy, what is expected is, super soft to softs, and then, the super softs will go, they'll try and stretch them out to at least lap 8, lap 9, and then pit for the softs. 27 laps here of this particular track. Now there may be a few drivers who will maybe think about going on the mediums, but as we mentioned earlier, tyre temperatures can be a real problem on those. If you pit too early for those mediums, you can actually risk getting overcut by those who stay out a little bit longer on the super softs, such as the time it takes for the front tyre temperatures to get up to their optimum performance. It can take 2 or 3 laps even for the best drivers to get them going. So all of Ferrari's hopes on the shoulders of a young Finn. And an age ago, that young Finn would have been named Kimi Räikkönen, but these days, in terms of this particular race and this particular character, it is Flying Finn. And this is one of those tracks where actually starting in pole position is actually not always an advantage, because the cars behind are going to be getting all the slipstream and all the tow off the back of that Williams. One of the characteristics of this track, of course, is the Rettifilio. One of the most dangerous turn ones, because the concertina effect and the low downforce setups and the late braking which is required for that particular corner. Don't be surprised to see a little bit of carbon fibre flying off, or maybe some drivers even taking to the escape road, costing themselves a lot of time. And another thing we have to also consider, this particular race, very, very infamous for corner cut penalties, especially the second and third chicanes here. And this particular race last season was decided on penalties, if my memory is correct. And that's Michael, one of the things he did so well last season was not picking up penalties at crucial moments, even if he didn't have the out-and-out pace. And it was that consistency that won him that championship last season after a really good battle with the likes of Roy and Lucas. Now, before we start this race, let's have a quick look at those outside the top 10. No medium runners whatsoever then. Alex, Jarno, Casper and Lee Finley on the soft tyre compounds. They'll be trying to take those soft tyres quite deep into the race, 14, 15 laps at least, and then switching to the super soft compounds. They'll be very quick at the end of the race, but where they will end up in terms of final positions remains to be seen. A couple of drivers colliding on the formation lap, the Sauber and Red Bull, Stay Frosty and Davidos respectively, as Michael leads the Williams to the grid. And boy, wouldn't Claire Williams want to see Williams even in the top 10, let alone in front of the grid these days. But the glory days for Williams seem about as far away as ever, as the Tifosi rise from their seats, hoping daring for Flying Finn to make a move on the inside and take the lead of this race on lap 1. So we just wait for the 5 red lights here to start this race at Monza. Is everybody happy with the... Oh! Oh no! Oh, that is not good. I think the game has crashed on me. Oh, that is not good. Oh man, I hope the lobby has crashed. Right, I will try and get back in there as quickly as I can. It looks like the lobby may have collapsed, but we will find out shortly. But I do apologise. Unfortunately, we got some technical problems here, and that is devastating. I was so pumped for the start of that race. Oh man, okay, but I have got spare invites, so I will try and get back into the lobby. But again, if the lobby hasn't collapsed, then unfortunately the game has crashed on me, and we will miss the start of the race, and that is a real shame. But I'm just checking the league chat as well to see if there is any. The stream will keep going. Yeah, one of those things. You have to just laugh sometimes. But we will get back into the race as soon as we can. But yeah, very frustrating when this happens. But there's nothing you can do about it, so you can't really complain about it. You just say, well, I guess you can complain about it, but you know what I mean. So just loading up the lobby again. And we will get going. And well, who knows? Maybe the whole field's retired on lap 1. We're about to find out. Okay, lobby is loading. Right, here we go. The race has begun. I hope this is a synced lobby, and we're at the end of the first lap already, and Michael is leading the race, and William Roy up to 3rd already. So what a great start from Roy. He's gained 2 places already. Paris has gained 3 as well. Jarno's gained 4 from the start. What a start he's had in terms of the big losers. Lucas, the championship contender, has lost 3, and Schnitzel has dropped a place as well. So it's a dream start for Williams once again, and Schnitzel now trying to go down the inside of Paris as I try and get my bearings back on all the settings. So yeah, chaotic stuff here to start the Italian Grand Prix. I wish we would have seen the start, but some interesting things happening nonetheless. Start of the race, 2 title contenders losing places. Lucas in particular losing 3. So maybe the 2 came into contact into the Rettifiglio, and that's why they lost places. But Roy and Paris in particular, brilliant starts from them. Jarno will be someone to keep an eye on, of course, because he is on the soft tyre compound. All the soft runners have gained places, so good starts from them. So further down the order, let's have a look at these gaps. I haven't actually got any gaps at the moment. It looks like about less than a second between the top 2. We're actually dropping significantly back from the top 2, and that's going to put him into the clutches of the drivers behind us. Flying Finn sets the fast lap of the race. Ferrari cheering them on, those fans in the grandstands. As DRS is enabled by race control. 1.5 seconds between Flying Finn and Roy. So Roy hasn't got the particular pace. He locks the left tyre just a little bit on the front. And there's a bit of a train forming already behind Roy, with Paris, Schnitzel and Lucas just behind. Now let's have a look at Schnitzel, because Schnitzel got a better exit out of the first corner, but not actually quite close enough, because actually Paris getting on the power nicely despite the poor exit. Will he go for a move onto the inside? No, he will not. So for the time being, Roy is losing more and more time. He's lost another 3/10 in that first sector. And that's assuming these timing screens are correct, and I hope they are. So we only lost, if we've only lost 1 lap of the 27, I guess that's the best we can hope for. But here we go then. Paris then trying to chase down the Williams of Roy out there. Last week's race winner of Belgium, of course. Schnitzel right behind him as well. Lucas, well, he'll just have to try and keep his cool, because that's not an ideal start for a championship campaign. But at the moment, Schnitzel cannot win the championship as it stands. A reminder: if Schnitzel wins the race, Lucas has to finish 5th, and if Schnitzel finishes 2nd, Lucas has to only score a point to take the championship to the next round in 2 weeks' time. So Schnitzel has to finish in the top 2 to win the championship today, and hope Lucas has a disastrous race. And now look at this, Schnitzel seems to have really good straight line speed, but Paris will have the DRS as well. Roy may get absolutely swamped into the Rettifiglio. He'll cover the inside. Paris will try and go to the outside, and now Schnitzel's going to bide his time and try and get onto the power a little bit better than Paris. Wasn't able to, and it's as you were. Does that put him under threat from Lucas just behind? We shall see. And actually now, this time, Schnitzel getting a decent run on Paris as they go for the Curve Grande, heading towards the second chicane, but once again, not able to make a move. Such as the similarity in the setups. Not many overtakes happening so far. This is something we talked about before the race. Everyone's going to be running very similar low downforce setups. So although there are plenty of places to overtake on this track, it's easier said than done. It's now just over 7/10 of a second between the top two. Haven't seen much of them so far. But here comes Schnitzel. Here comes the championship leader, trying to go round the outside. And he's going to out-drag Paris before they get to the Variante Ascari for the 4th time in this race. And he is now up to P4. Now needs to get 2 more positions to put in with half a chance of winning the championship today. But as it stands though, Renault are winning the Constructors Championship. Jarno is going to be someone to keep an eye on. In terms of the mass for the Constructors Championship, someone in the chat may want to work out the mass behind that and go there. Now Paris, despite his great start, is now falling into the clutches of some of the other drivers. But now Lucas will go for it. Lucas going for a double lunge! A double lunge on the Toro Rosso and the Renault. Well, that would have been an absolutely outrageous move. I don't think he meant to go for Schnitzel as well, but he just went really late on the brakes and got it slowed down. And, well, good thing Schnitzel saw it coming. But nonetheless, Lucas licked the stamp and sent it, and he's up to P5. As Paris tries to come back at him, Renault definitely cut the chicane there, and I think Lucas will have the better traction out of the corner and will get the move done. But we're going to go to Flying Finn, because Flying Finn is closing the gap to the Williams of Michael. This is a very late 90s scrap between a Williams and a Ferrari here at Monza. As Roy, the gap stabilised, still about 1.8 seconds between second and third. Flying Finn trying to put a bit more pressure on the reigning AOR Tier 1 champion on PS4. And just over a second between third and fourth, with Lucas just in DRS range behind. Paris, though, right behind him. So I'm just going to have a quick look at Paris, just from a bit of a train behind Lucas, although I'm not sure if it's a true train, because Lucas now he's got past Paris and may be able to find a bit more pace. So we'll go back to, no, not at the moment. What about Schnitzel? No, not close enough to make a move. So actually, could be another battle here. Yeah, Lucas having to go defensive. This is not what he wants to be doing. Paris has sensational straight line speed with that Honda power unit. Of course, equal cars, but Paris back up to 5th place with a textbook DRS overtake down the main straight, over 1,500 meters with that straight line speed. But Lucas is going to try and come back at him. Paris is going to have to cover the inside, kind of sticks the car in the middle of the track. Oh, a huge lock on the tyres from Paris, and surely that is going to be job done for Lucas once again. And yeah, Paris got that horribly wrong, and that's going to put a bit of a flat spot on his super soft tyres, and that's going to put him under all sorts of pressure from the likes of Stay Frosty. And look at that, Jarno, he'll be fancying a few extra positions here if anything happens. And meanwhile, the battle for the lead still is now closing to less than half a second. I'm going to have a look at that in a moment. Obviously closing up before Ascari with the DRS, and now they'll be on the run to Parabolica. And as you've noticed, 0.3 of a second taken out by Roy to Flying Finn. So Michael is holding up Flying Finn, if anything. But Schnitzel is now right on the back of Roy as well. Stay Frosty's actually past Paris. And here we go then. Flying Finn and the Tifosi waving their Ferrari banners. Oh, they are loving this. Flying Finn is going to take the lead of the race, and right behind them, Schnitzel is looking for a move for third, but doesn't go for it. And Flying Finn does take the lead with the DRS assistance, but Michael's going to try and come back at him. And what a race. I was so looking forward to this, given the calibre of the drivers we have here. And Flying Finn is now ahead, and for the first time, you'll listen for the cheer as they go through Parabolica if Flying Finn is still maintaining this lead. And Michael runs slightly wide, getting a bit of dirt on the left tyre, and that's not going to do him any good. As Flying Finn tries to break the DRS, it's a big lap for him. He's got plenty of battery to attack with. It may be worth going full attack on this lap, try and break that DRS. So your top 5, Flying Finn, Michael, Roy, Schnitzel and Lucas. With Paris in 6th, Dave Frosty in 7th, Jarno in 8th, still trying to get past those two. And Hugo in 9th, and Casper has moved up into the points in P10. And Flying Finn, that car looked like it was on rails as it was going right through Ascari there. Michael doesn't seem to have an answer to the pace, and the Ferrari fans rising with loud cheers and flares going off as they go through Parabolica. A Ferrari leading the race here then at Monza as we enter the 8th lap of the race. And Schnitzel now right on the back of the second Williams of Roy, who won last week's race. Is he close enough? Not at the moment. We'll go just behind briefly because Paris, is he going to go for a lunge on Lucas? No, he's not. Oh, just about gets the car slowed down. So the battle for P5 still going on. So let's have a look at Schnitzel. Is Schnitzel any closer to the Williams? No, they're just sort of pulling each other along there with the immense tow and slipstream they're getting on each other. Gaps about half a second between the top two. Well, there is not much to choose between these top four at the moment. Less than 2 seconds covering the top four here at Monza, and I'm sure Lucas will be wanting to get involved in that shortly. If anything, Lucas is dropping a lot of time. Or maybe he made a mistake somewhere actually, because you know he's really dropped off the top four's pace for some reason, as Dominos picks up a time penalty. The first of many, I'm sure. Oh, Flying Finn picks up a time penalty, 3 seconds. So that will be good news for, certainly good news for Michael, who at the moment is in the net lead of the race, and Flying Finn will actually be dropping completely out of the top four as it stands, thanks to that penalty. So Schnitzel, is Schnitzel any closer as they go out parabolic? Can he make a move on the Williams ahead? Lucas in 5th, 3.3 seconds behind now. It's not good for his championship bid at the moment, but he is in that minimum position he needs to be if Schnitzel wins this race to take championship to another round, which would more or less be a formality in the next round. And actually, Stay Frosty has actually just overtaken Lucas. What has happened to Lucas? Has he got damaged? Let's just inspect his car a little bit. Doesn't look like there's any visible damage to me, unless it's light damage, but yeah, suddenly his pace has really dropped off the boil. Stay Frosty in a very good 5th place at the moment. He's finished 4th in the opening round in Australia, so this would be a real return to form for him if he could get this. He scored 3 points finishes, and after that's been very patchy since then. Didn't race last week, it was P11 in Germany, so he'll be looking for a good result today. Paris Roubaix, so let's just have a quick look at, actually no, straight to Schnitzel actually. Schnitzel's very close. Let's watch the top four. Riding through Ascari. Jarno very close behind, and it's a very poor exit from Roy, so we're not going to go to Jarno because this battle for P3 really hotting up now. Schnitzel attempting to win the championship with 2 races to spare after this. Well, sort of went off the power a little bit, slightly wide, and now Michael falls into the pits. 10 laps gone. This race has gone sensationally fast, such as the speeds are going. And now Schnitzel is going to look for a move maybe. No, he still has the power down. But Roy is out of DRS. Oh, he locks the tyres up again. And what has Michael gone for? Let's just have a quick look at what... No, we're not going to have a look because I'm going to stick with this battle. Because this battle, as they go through Curva Grande for the 10th time, Schnitzel's going to try and pull out to the left and get an overtake done. No, and he doesn't quite have the speed to get alongside him. But Roy struggling, really struggling for rear grip. Those super softs look done and dusted. And he's had to do an extra lap because Michael had the lead car privilege of pitting first. This has been a very enjoyable race so far. So Jarno up to P6, highest of the drivers who started on the softs. And I have to say Schnitzel has kept those super softs in really good condition. And as a result of that, got a much better exit out of the Lesmos, and the DRS wasn't even needed. He just slingshot past Roy with the slipstream alone. So Schnitzel getting ahead of Roy, and that could be a big moment because that will also mean he'll be able to get into the pits and he'll be able to pick his braking point and not rely on the other driver in front. So let's see then. Flying Finn remains in the lead of this race. It'll be very interesting to see what Michael, where he ends up when he comes in, or finishes his outlap, I should say. So yeah, here we go then. Roy and Flying Finn pit. And Schnitzel carries on. Where is Michael in reference to? He's just coming up towards Parabolica. Let's have a look at Flying Finn. Flying Finn into the pit lane then. And it's going to be soft tyres. And oh, he's going to get held up a bit. There were several cars coming in. Stay Frosty. Lucas coming in. It's a hive of activity in the pit lane here. But that could really be costly for Michael. Oh, was that a wing change for someone? I wasn't sure. And here comes Michael then. Where is that Ferrari going to come out? No, the Ferrari's coming out right there. So actually, the outlap wasn't fast enough, but they're going to be side by side into the first corner here. It's going to be incredibly close. And Michael just, and I mean just, gets the overcut done. The undercut, I should say. Michael is back into the net lead of this race with Flying Finn just behind, but Flying Finn will have one less lifetime, and of course he has got that 3-second time penalty, so he's going to have to hope that Michael picks up one as well to move back into position for at least a podium. None of the other drivers he was fighting in that top 4 battle have penalties at the moment. So it's a familiar sight at the moment. It is a Renault 1-2, but Jarno is only 3.5 seconds off Schnitzel on the alternate strategy. So when he pits for those super softs, if he can keep this pace up on the softs, he's going to be a real threat for winning this race, I tell you that. So Schnitzel will peel off to the right, get the car slowed down. Very tricky braking for this one, as Schnitzel will come into the pit lane for his one and only stop. So Michael then heading for the Parabolica. This is going to be mighty close. So the Renault team... Oh, what's happened here? Oh, well, that was again a very interesting glitch, but I think Michael's going to have... It's going to be a similar situation we saw with Flying Finn. Where is Schnitzel going to be? Yes, he's going to get overtaken, and Flying Finn as well. So Schnitzel is going to slot out to third. However, he has got out ahead of Roy, and here comes Lucas then, diving to the inside of Stay Frosty. Up to P9 he goes, and that's an important move for Lucas, liking these softs a little bit better than Stay Frosty straight away. But Lucas has got to try and find some pace and get up to the net leaders of this race, because at the moment his admittedly fading title challenge is getting ever more difficult. Someone's actually gone off ahead, and I think Roy just went onto the gravel momentarily. So in terms of those soft runners, the first ones they will be catching, if they do catch them, will be Lee Finley, who's last in terms of those runners who haven't stopped. So Michael just ahead of Flying Finn, Schnitzel just outside DRS range, and oh, well, he's on the soft tyres, although on my screen it says, you can see they're on super softs, so that's obviously a graphical glitch. He's on the soft tyres according to the left hand side. I mean, that would be a suicidal strategy if he went on that. So Flying Finn, Ferrari, they'll know about the penalty, but they want a bit of glory from their Flying Finn to get back into the net lead of the race. Just seeing if there's any other battles out there. Flying Finn getting closer. Unfortunately, a bit of a glitch sound on that Ferrari at the moment, which is unfortunate. Just have a quick look at Save Frosty. Save Frosty going to go for a move to the inside into the Retofilio? No, he is not. Nowhere near close enough for such a lunge. Let's have a look at Flying Finn once again, closing in on Michael. We saw this early on in the race. Michael leading on the first lap. We had an unfortunate crash of the game on my end, which meant we missed the start of the race, but the likes of Schnitzel and Lucas lost positions at the start of the race. But then this battle developed between Michael and Flying Finn, to rapturous applause from the Tifosi, took the lead early on in the race, but unfortunately then picked up a 3-second time penalty in the Ascari, which now means, in terms of a podium, it's going to have to probably rely on other drivers getting penalties to get onto the podium. But it's been a stellar drive outside of that so far. Look how much more confidence he has through the Ascari. The car is definitely better balanced than the Williams had in terms of the suspension setup that Flying Finn's done for this car, because it's just riding them beautifully. So through the Parabolica they go. We're now over half distance in this 27 lap race here in Monza. And look at that, Michael running slightly wide at Parabolica, and that's going to compromise the speed going through his tyres. And I think this is going to be pretty much inevitable that the Ferrari is going to once again get ahead of Michael, and just behind them is Schnitzel, who has DRS now as well. So it's developing into a three-way fight for the net lead. Roy fading slightly behind, and Lucas actually 1.8 seconds behind Roy, trying to close the gap. And Jarno a 1.3 second advantage to Casper out front. So can Schnitzel get closer? No, but it's these three drivers, Finn, Michael, Schnitzel, are our main focus, and once again more gravel. A lot of drivers have been having a bit of trouble, but again, you know, get these cars slow down, and they've got so little downforce to work with. It's no wonder they're tripping up just a little bit. And you can see the oversteer is something they're going to have to be thinking about so much, and Ascari in particular, taking too much curb, you can easily get a snap of oversteer and the car spears off to the left and into an end of race incident. Seen that many times from the best to the worst in terms of league racing. So Michael trying to fight back, and Look at that, Lee Finley is being rapidly caught, but will he pit before this trio catch the back of the sort of soft train? Lee Finley is, compared to the other drivers ahead of him who haven't stopped, he's not really had the pace at all. I mean, he's 8.4 seconds off Alex in third at the moment. And here's Schnitzel keeping the watch and brief, power down to 0. Let's have a look at Save Frosty quickly though. And Paris is out of the race, so that's a retirement then. First retirement of the race. I mean, Toro Rosso driver had a brilliant start early on in the race, but it hasn't worked out for him since. So that's another retirement for the Toro Rosso driver, unfortunately. Disconnected in Germany, crashed out in Belgium. He's crashed out here at Monza for whatever reason, or he's just retired the car. Those unreliable Honda engines, eh? So Schnitzel trying to put more pressure on the reigning champion. Some will say the champion-elect trying to overtake the champion from last season, season 16. Look at that, Lee Finley's pace has completely dropped off. He's now been caught. That was practically 2 seconds that lap, so he must have made a massive mistake to dump time. I mean, look, he's got nothing left, or he's out puncher on the rear right. Doesn't look very healthy. I mean, he's going to get absolutely swamped, and I would imagine he's just going to get out the way if he can. No, he's not. He's going to park it right on the apex, and that's going to compromise the exit speed out Parabolica for the Ferrari driver, and he's forced to go slightly wide in the dirty air, and he's going to carry on. And well, this is going to get mighty interesting indeed. Look at that, Schnitzel behind, pulling to the inside of Michael. Michael's getting a great tow from the Ferrari as well. So, well, 3 cars don't go into 1, and here we go. Oh, and around the outside flying Finn. That was brilliantly judged, and Michael gets ahead of it well. And now Schnitzel, unfortunately, sort of gets boxed in a little bit, and he's now fighting. Lee Finley's going to fight this. Oh my goodness, they touch. Whatever you do, Lee Finley, don't take out the challenger leader. Even if the likes of Lucas and Jarno would be absolutely delighted with that side. And again, they bang wheels going into the second. Oh well, those soft tyres are absolutely gone, completely gone at this point. And Alex is actually pitted for super soft, so that's the first of those soft runners coming in. And I do believe that Hugh Golf has come in as well. Actually sure. But here comes Roy trying to get a move done as well, and he moves up to P6. So how many drivers haven't pitted yet? Let's have a quick look. 3 drivers haven't pitted. Yep, Lee Finley, Casper and Jarno have yet to stop in this particular race. So a fair gap, 12 seconds between Flying Finn and Jarno, and they pit. So Jarno and Casper pit, and they're going to be going onto those super soft tyres, and they're going to be the 2 drivers to watch who could get themselves into the measure for the final podium position at the very least, as we watch Casper pitting. But we're going to go straight back on track because Schnitzel tried to chase down once again the Williams. So, well, it's going to be interesting to see where Jarno feeds out. Let's just see where Jarno feeds out. Jarno comes out on track, and he's got the Sauber few Golf ahead of him. Is anyone else going to get past him? 2 Red Bulls approaching. And, well, Alex getting slightly held up by his teammate, isn't he? As Casper comes out in P10. Makes a slight meal of turn 1, but gets it stopped out. So Jarno then, P9. He's got the best tyres on track at the moment, along with the other super soft runners who have stopped. Lee Finley still going. Must be hoping for a safety car of some kind. He's about to be overtaken by Lucas, but Lucas, he's got to be very careful. Any sort of incident now, you know, if he were to retire, that would give Schnitzel in position, in the firing range to win the championship if he were to gain 1 more position, which at the moment he isn't on course to do. Lucas though moves up to 5th. Watch out for Stay Frosty just behind the Haas as well. Lee Finley's done the most laps of anyone in the softs and gets another time penalty. And he really badly gets in the way of Stay Frosty. Perfectly legal though. He's not a back marker. This is a fight for position. This is a fight for P6. Look how much better traction's got. We're going to switch. Oh, slight contact through the Parabolica. But we're going to switch attention now, because now Schnitzel going on full attack. Fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.560. Can he get a move done into the Rettifilio? Not for the time being, as Alex actually sets the fastest lap of the race, so that's really good pace from him. Yellow's in sector 3. Oh, and I think we have a retirement. Yeah, the Red Bull Davidos out of the race. So we've now got 2 retirements from this particular race. As this Italian Grand Prix reaches the final 9 laps of the race. It has flown by here. It's been great action here. Yellow's in sector 1. Oh, what's happened in Sector 1. Has anyone gone off the track? Is that Lee Finley? Possibly. Not sure entirely what's happened there, but we'll go straight back to Schnitzel. Schnitzel then trying to launch an attack, but he's got the power down to 0. I think he's trying to put Michael under all sorts of pressure. So remember, if Schnitzel wins this race, which he will do if he passes Michael and stays there and doesn't get any penalties because Flying Finn's got 3 seconds, then he needs to see Lucas drop out of the top 5 and he will be the champion of season 17. So it is a very tense situation. Michael, though, will not be giving up the second place out fight as Schnitzel once again struggles with the dirty air through the parabolica, taking a little bit too much speed. He's going to try and attack once again. The straight line speed of Michael really good at this stage. And Jano's actually moved up to P7 amongst all that as Casper since the first lap of the race with a 1:21.195. Flying Finn is actually beginning to break away from Michael. Now, if these two were to develop a massive scrap, it might give Flying Finn half a chance of getting that 3-second gap and giving the Tifosi the home win that they have come here and paid their hard-earned money for. And Michael locks up the tyres once again, and looks like Flying Finn and Michael going into the gravel. Lucas trying to desperately close the gap. Once again, running wide is Schnitzel. So your top 10 of the 12 still running. Flying Finn, Michael, Schnitzel, Williams, Roy, Lucas, Stay Frosty, Jarno, Casper, Hugo and Alex, and everyone has made their one and only stop. So no more pit stops you would expect unless we get a late safety car. Well, a late safety car, that would spice up things, wouldn't it? But it's been pretty compelling action here at Monza so far. And we are entering the closing stages. But Michael's actually had a really good lap here. He's actually got within DRS range of Flying Finn again. And he will get it as they cross the line. That will aid with his defence against Schnitzel or Willie. Perhaps he wasn't within a second before the activation zone. Michael will go defensive, probably, a bit indecisive defending, I would say. And Schnitzel will move into second place. I think if he was going to defend that, he needed to do it a bit sooner than that. Jana setting the fast lap of the race, so the two Renaults both on the move. So Schnitzel is now in P2, but this is effectively a net P1 because of those time penalties. So Schnitzel on course for his 4th win of the season at the moment. From the 7 races so far, his lowest finish, 5th place in Austria. 3 victories at Bahrain, Australia and Germany so far, a 2nd at China and a 3rd at Belgium last week. So his consistency has been very impressive for the majority of the season. But can Michael come back in? He doesn't have much battery to work with. Schnitzel's actually fallen 1.4 seconds away, 1.6, so Michael's had a pretty good lap here. He's really gone on the pace again. Schnitzel's going to try and break this toe, but Michael, we saw he had really good straight line speed, but it was quite passive defending from Michael there. I think he sort of thought about moving to the inside at the last second, but he did it too late. If he'd done it any later, it would have been dangerous movement across the track. Now Schnitzel out of DRS range, of course, so he will not have the aid of that for defence. So he's going to have to try and, but actually for the time being, he's got to save battery. So not able to attack Schnitzel for the time being. Slight tap the back of the Renault for the time being. So we enter the closing stages of this race then at Monza. Flying Finn has probably been the outstanding performer in terms of race pace so far. He has led the most laps here at this particular circuit. But Schnitzel chasing a championship. Oh my goodness. Look at the way the car shook to the right for a second. I thought Schnitzel was going to lose it, but he got it slowed down. He's taken 3/10 out of Flying Finn on this particular lap, so it's been a great lap from Schnitzel. Michael struggling to keep up with the Renault driver's pace, and that has been the case often this season, even for the mighty season 16 champion. I'm just going to have a quick look at Jarno, because Jarno is now on the move once again. Jarno, easy DRS overtake on Stay Frosty, and he's now up to P6, and here well, now this is a big moment, because he's the next driver along behind Lucas, and this could be a championship deciding situation. If Schnitzel wins this race, Lucas must finish 5th to take the championship to the next round in 2 weeks' time. Schnitzel almost within a second. Michael very close on that particular lap, but trying to save a bit more battery, looking to attack later on. You get the sense that this is it's going to be going back and forth. 2 second gap between Jan and Lucas. That's going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. So the main focus at the moment is the battle for P3. P2 I should say, between Schnitzel and Michael. They're now just tantalisingly close to the DRS range of Flying Finn, whose pace is starting to go off the boil a little bit. It's been such good pace from him all race, but now Schnitzel and Michael are beginning to put the pressure on him, just opening the taps out on those particular cars to try and get to Flying Finn, force him into a mistake, maybe get another penalty, which would be curtains for his chances of winning the race were he to pick up an extra 3 seconds to the 3 seconds he already has. 6 seconds, that would put him out of the top 5, and that in fact may even favour Lucas in the end. And Lucas now is now 1.4 seconds ahead of Jana, who's rapidly closing in on him. Here we go then, full attack from Michael. He's put it up to overtake mode. Can he get closer to Schnitzel? Schnitzel still doesn't have DRS, but he has just now got into his range. Here comes the overspeed from Michael. Michael's going to go for it. Michael's going to dive to the inside, gets the car slowed down, and that is a great overtake from Michael. Got it slowed down, used all the track available, and he's ahead. But he would have compromised his exit, so that will give Schnitzel a chance immediately to come back at him. Schnitzel, though, doesn't have much battery, so he's going to have to maybe do what Michael did, spend a couple of laps building it up again so he can attack. That's given Flying Finn a little bit of breathing space, because I did compromise their speed just a little bit. Jano, though, it's now almost within DRS range of Lucas. That's a battle we're going to have a look at shortly. But this particular battle is now really beginning to hot up here at Monza. For Schnitzel, well, he probably saw the move coming, but he knows he's still got plenty of laps to get back. But he's got to build up some battery so he can go on the attack again. Has Michael been able to? No, he's got low battery once again. There's going to be a bit of back and forth, and Jano now getting very close to Lucas. Lucas just hasn't had the race pace that we usually see from him, because he would ideally want to be around where Roy is so he can get the toe to defend. Don't count Jano out of this fight for the podium yet. There's still enough laps of the pace he's showing to get ahead, and I want to see Jano shortly, see what he's doing. But here comes Schnitzel. Can he get ahead of Michael? No, he cannot. Jano then, how close is he? He's now within DRS range of Lucas, so the next lap round, Lucas is going to have a hell of a fight on his hands to keep this rapid Renault behind. At the moment, Renault not quite scoring enough points to win the championship outright. But neither are Williams to prevent them winning it. But there are still a few laps to go here. So let's go back to Schnitzel. Schnitzel managed to get a good exit out of the second Lesmo as they head into the closing laps here at Monza. Then I will have a look at, he's got DRS range, so now they're both within DRS range. What about Jano? As they zoom down underneath the old banking of the classic track. Schnitzel not quite close enough. What about Jano? Jano is now biding his time, building up the battery, getting ready for an all-out attack on Lucas. And now Schnitzel trying to go for a move at the Parabolica. Well, he's caught Michael napping there. Must have been a terrible exit for Michael out of Parabolica, and in front he goes, and he will get DRS on Flying Finn as well. So this could be a potential free wide situation going in. Michael's going to try and come back at him. Well, Flying Finn, he's going to have to stick or twist. He's going to have to just cover the inside and hope for the best. Here comes Schnitzel, and Michael right behind him. And the Ferrari just had enough room, but right behind, crucially, Jano has outdragged Lucas and is up to P5. He's now 2 seconds, free to go here at Monza. Trying to get Schnitzel and Michael going side by side into the second chicane. Who's going to go late on the brakes? Michael's going to have to try and go late on the brakes to defend this move, because this is the fight for the lead effectively because of the penalty. Schnitzel gets ahead, braving it out on the outside in the second part of the chicane. Up to P2 and an effective net lead, but Michael is not going to give this up. His teammate is right there as well. And with all this battling, Jano is still there as well. But unfortunately, it looks like, sadly, that Lucas's challenge in this particular race, and maybe even the championship, could be about to come to an end, with 2 races still to go after this one. But Schnitzel has still got a hell of a fight in his hands. Both Williams drivers once again impressing here today as they did at Belgium. And I don't believe that they have penalties. Unlike the Ferrari up front, so Flying Finn is probably heartbreakingly going to be falling off the podium. We've still got 2 more circuits here at Monza. So can Michael come back? He's got no battery though. He's going to have to build it up for another lap and then go for another attack. Perhaps on the final lap. Schnitzel getting very close. He's not doing too well for battery either. 16 laps Michael's done on those softs. That's more than any of the rest of the top 4. Can Jarno get within these guys in the closing 2 laps and try and go for a last lap attack for one of the podium spots? So here comes Schnitzel. Schnitzel then, at the moment, is on course to win the championship as it stands. In terms of the point situation, which I will have a look at after this race is over. Let's not worry about that. Schnitzel wants to win this race outright. Penalties be damned. He wants to take the checker flag for himself. Schnitzel gets out of shape. Oh my goodness, it nearly was game over. Schnitzel there, got it slowed down. Is he going to try and go for a move the parabolic to put on pressure? He doesn't want to get too close because that will compromise his exit. We're going for a final lap showdown here at Monza. Jarno is now within DRS range of the top 4, but has he left it just a bit too late? Here comes Schnitzel trying to take the outright lead of the race here. Oh, late move to the left, try and get around the outside, missed other slightly, but he takes the lead of the race. The Ferrari fans, oh, they're not happy about that. But now Schnitzel can roar clear. Can he get to the end of this lap? Final lap here at Monza. Jarno just behind. Is there going to be any late moves behind Jarno? Can he go for a late move? No, he cannot. The top 3 heading through second. Oh, and Schnitzel goes really wide and once again gets away with it. But that's going to really compromise his rear grip because he put a real big chunk of the tyre on that. Now Flying Finn running out of fuel and battery power. Is going to go for one last attack perhaps into the Ascari, and yes, he's building up for it. He's building up for it. He's going to go for it. Oh no, he's not going to go for it. Top 5 flying through Ascari for the last time. Will there be time for any last attack? How much battery has Schnitzel got? He's got enough to defend. Flying Finn has got to go for it now. It's now or never. Jarno just behind. Is overtaking Roy. So here comes Schnitzel. Schnitzel's going to cross the line. And if he wins the Italian Grand Prix, this could be it. And Schnitzel wins the Italian Grand Prix. Where is Lucas finishing? Lucas finishes P5. Lucas finishes P5. The championship is not over. Schnitzel denied on the line by Lucas finishing P5. So the championship will go at least another round. But Schnitzel has one hand on that season 17 Tier 1 PS4 championship trophy. In terms of the Constructors Championship, I do believe Renault have won the Constructors Championship as well. But what was an outstanding drive from Schnitzel once again. As we go on board with him, well, what a crazy race we've had at Monza. Barely anything between the top 5. Jarno could have even won this race if he had a couple of extra laps, such as the tyre advantage he had at the end there. But thanks to the penalties, this championship battle goes on another race. Goodness me. Gap will be 48 points at the top of the standings as Schnitzel celebrates his 4th victory of the season, and Williams with another double podium. So they've kept Renault honest in recent races, no question about that, but I think it's not enough to prevent Renault from being the Constructors' Championship. That will need to be confirmed by the admins. But what a race we've had here. So here is your provisional result for the Italian Grand Prix. It is Schnitzel who takes the victory by just over a second to the 2 Williams drivers of Michael and Roy. And then Jarno in P4. A good day's effort from P12, but would have liked a better qualifying because that really compromised and probably prevented him from being on the podium today. Lucas did just enough to keep the championship alive, but realistically his title bid is over. P5. Casper, another brilliant point score, and that is his 8th consecutive point score. Brilliant stuff from him. Flying Finn 7th in the end thanks to 6 seconds of penalties. That's how close the field was at the end. Stay Frosty in 8th. Alex picking up points for Red Bull and Kiski picking up points for Force India. So plenty of different teams scoring points today. And then Hugh Golf and Lee Finney, your final finisher, and then 2 retirements for Daridos and Paris. So a really, really good race here at Monza today. And well, we will be going to a break week because next week's race time clashes with the real life Canadian Grand Prix. So here is your calendar for the remainder of the season. Japan will be perhaps a formality, but who knows? Stranger things have happened in Formula 1. But it was essentially require Dominic Hoffman to retire twice and for Lucas to win both races to become the champion. So the Japanese Grand Prix will be on the 16th of June, so no race next Sunday. And then we'll be going to Brazil for the season finale and the final F1 2018 race of this, what has been an incredible era on the top tier of PS4. Well, that is it. That is it for your racing action for this particular tier tonight. Grazie ragazzi, and see you next time on Apex Online Racing.